Well, good evening, social media family. Broadcasting live on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. It is hashtag Truth Be Told in the PM as we connect the dots on this 17th day of April. It is Friday Junior, but it's Friday Junior from Good Friday. So for those who celebrate Good Friday, the resurrection of Jesus Christ, and those who celebrate the holiday of Easter, it's about to go down. People ain't working tomorrow. People are getting ready to go and do what they do and have fun and all that good stuff. So good evening, good evening, good evening. Yours truly, Joe Dupree in the building from 100 BLK to Black Station, but I ain't never by myself. Never. To be exact, I'm going to do a different introduction tonight. I'm going to introduce the Southern Tea Awards award-winning, most influential individual who does all that influential stuff when it comes down to influential people. Now, I know that didn't make no sense to me either, but the girl, everybody love her. Everybody love her because she do stuff on purpose. Okay. That part. It is my girl, and I'm going to give her a round of applause as she comes in here. Y'all give it up for my girl, Alethea Crimmins, as she is in the building. Alethea, your mic ain't on. We can't hear you. Your mic, turn your microphone on.
Hey, wait a minute. Hello.
Wait a minute.
What's going on? What's going on? Hey, everybody. Hey, Joe. It's good to be here in the PM with you on this Good Friday Eve.
Yeah, that's what it is. Good Friday Eve. Good Friday Eve.
You having crawfish ball?
No, I am allergic to shellfish. I can't play with them boys. I can't play with. I don't know what, I hate to say it, but there is a Louisianian that I know by the name of Uncle Luck, Sean Bernard. He says it all the time. Y'all do understand that crawfish is like the roach of the sea, right?
But it's good though.
Okay.
But it's good though.
So people in Louisiana, and I love this. So good evening to everybody who's good in. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Share this with a friend. Jax will be coming on soon. Hopefully we will have Brother Chris on soon. I know Brother Chris reached out to me. Of course, today we are mourning. It has been a tragic day in the United States of America, and we'll talk about that a little bit as we move forward. But people in Louisiana who celebrate the Lenten season, all they do is eat crawfish during this season because if you're of the Catholic faith, you can't eat meat after Mardi Gras, after Fat Tuesday until is it after Resurrection Sunday? Is it after Sunday?
Oh, I don't know. I just eat crawfish.
Folks just eat it because they love it. That part. So a lot of folks here have been just not eating no meat whatsoever, eating all kind of seafood. And one of the big seafood delicacies here in Louisiana is crawfish. Mm-hmm. Man, people love them some crawfish around here. And I'm here to tell you, crawfish don't stand a chance in Louisiana.
It really don't.
Don't stand a chance. If you're a crawfish, you don't stand a chance. You know you're going to wind up in somebody's hot water boiling, period.
If they know how to do it right, because not everybody know how to do it right.
Everybody don't know how to do it right.
No.
Oh.
No.
So what is it? Is it the seasoning? How talk to somebody who don't really deal with crawfish. What is crawfish done right?
Rule number one, and I don't know who started this and who told y'all that this was right, but stop putting seasoning on top of the crawfish and shaking it up. No, you supposed to ball that seasoning in, ball that crawfish, put that seasoning in the water, let that crawfish soak all that up. That is what you do. Who started this, putting it on top? That is, and I don't know who started this crawfish in the bag, but that is not of Louisiana.
Do they try to? Is that like a shake and bake crawfish where they try to shake? I'm just asking. Now you a Louisianian.
That is not of God.
Is that the devil? Is that the devil?
That is not of God, because we don't do that around here. I don't know who approved this, And who thought that sauce you can put crawfish in a sauce and in a bag and shake it up? That is not of God.
So they done tried to shake and bake crawfish around these pots. I'm just asking. I'm just
No,
asking.
outside of Louisiana, not we don't do that here. But outside, like in Texas and Mississippi, I don't know who showed y'all that because that's not right. No,
12 minutes. I can't help but to laugh. 12 minutes past the hour. Welcome y'all to hashtag Truth Be Told in the PM. Listen, yours truly, Joe Dupree, in the building with the one and only Alethea Crimmins, the motivational speaker, the influencer. She won the Influencer of the Year at the Southern Tea Awards.
Let's
What award did you win? I know you won. What did you win?
Let's get that right before crazy blind boy be like, no, that was me.
That's right.
No,
that was crazy blind. See, I was just, I'm still, listen, y'all, my leg's still hurting. So I was there, but my leg's still hurting. So what award did you win, Alethea? Let me get the right award.
Hustle and Heart, which
Hustle and Heart. Let's give it up.
Is just what it is. Like I hustle hard and I put my heart into everything I do.
She does.
In spite of the people that think I don't, in spite of my haters. And you put a post up today, and it was something about they watch you.
Oh yeah, hold on. I ain't got no
talking
shame.
about-
Hold
wait,
on, let me
let-
see. Can I find it?
Let me look it
I'll
up.
throw it up here.
Let me
I'll
look it
throw it up. I'm gonna throw it up there. I'm gonna throw it up there.
Yes.
No shame. I throw it up there
Because when I was like, yes.
So this is probably the one she talked about. Day to day, I throw up what I call little inspirational, and I'm not throwing shade at nobody. It's just from day to day, certain things cross my head, and I say, man, let me throw this up there. So I threw that up there. I threw this up here. They be too jealous to support you, but too nosy
to delete you.
They be that way. They really be that way. Folk be that way. Folk be too jealous to support you. They ain't gonna show you no love. Like right now, this is what makes me laugh. You'll see, if you're watching on whatever platform you're watching, you'll see so many folks that are clicked in, and those are the folks that support us. You click in. If you click, that shows a number. It goes to Meta. It kind of shows that we're doing something, and there is a following of folks. A lot of folks won't click in. They won't click in, but they will watch you from a distance, because there is a way that you can watch podcasts and certain Facebook lives, and people won't know that you're on the live. And I ain't got a problem with that. Whatever floats your boat. That's my simple saying. Because Alethea, at the end of the day, here's how I look at it. I'm gonna do me. I want you to do you. There are some folks, and I said this at the Southern Tea Award, and I was honored by Destiny at the Southern Tea Awards with I call it a Lifetime Achievement Award of just saying, man, we want to show this brother a lot of love for all the love that he showed to the community. And when Alethea, I was blessed to have her introduce me on stage. But I said something, and a person texted me and another person emailed me about it, because they said it was sounding like I was giving a farewell. And I really wasn't giving a farewell. What I was saying was everything has a time and a season. And I believe when it comes down to certain things that I've been doing in this genre, in this business of media, in this business of radio and podcasting, man, you got to understand, I was 17 years old the first time I got behind a microphone. I was a junior in high school. That was over 40 years ago. It is time for me to pass the baton to great people like Alethea and people like Sean P. and people like Jax and other folks, and the list goes on and on and on. I got a whole long list of folks that I want to pass the baton to, and that's what I'm doing. I'm here to help. I'm here to jump on from time to time and talk about the issues we need to talk about, like today, the shooting at Florida State University. That was tragic. We're going to talk about that. We also need to talk about, do y'all know what's going on in your neighborhood? Do you know? Because right now, a lot of folks, especially where we live, where Alethea and I live in Louisiana, people are talking about police brutality at a high level. They're talking about, hey, I don't feel that they're giving Black and brown folks a fair handshake when it comes down to them coming to our parties and coming to events that we do, and when
That is
when something
facts.
does kind of go to the left, not the way it needs to, they don't talk to black and brown folks like they talk to non-black and brown folks.
No, because they don't go to their functions with that same energy,
Mm,
and it shows. They they
mm,
they don't they do not go to their functions with that same type of energy. And just like they don't want us to stereotype all enforcement officers based on one or two bad
right,
cops.
right.
We don't want you to stereotype us based on a handful of us.
Black and brown folks who act a fool. Right. We all don't act a
And
fool.
right, but you come at all of us with, with that same energy. Like
Right.
you literally come at all of us with that same energy. My wife got stopped um for a tag, I want to say earlier this week. And based on what we were seeing, uh this that has happened here, and based on how she looked when they stopped her, she followed the
Mm,
steps now
mm.
that we now have, that black and brown folks have to follow now. She followed the steps. She put her arms out the window.
Oh my
And
God.
when the man came over and asked for her license, he was like, you ain't got to do all that. Why you ain't got to do all that. She was like, yes, I do,
Mm.
because of how I look. Yes, I do. And he was like, can you get your license? And she was like, reaching for my license in my glove box, reaching for it. He was like, you ain't got to do all this. And then the next thing he said was, just tell me where the gun is.
Oh,
What makes you think that she even have one? She
Mm.
was like, I don't even have one of those.
Oh
So
Lord.
why would you think that I do? And yes, he was a non black
mhm.
black and brown cop. Now the like
Oh,
black
it was a
cop
white cop. Let's
just
let's let's let's
yeah,
let's just call it
yeah,
what it is. It was a white cop. Okay,
yeah,
pulled your wife over. Was she pulled over in the city that we live in, or was she pulled over somewhere else?
yes,
In the city.
yes.
So she was
and
pulled over
and
by a Caucasian cop in the
yeah,
city of Lafayette, Louisiana, and he asked where the gun is. Okay.
Dang.
Uh, me being a
and
law
like
enforcement officer,
black cop
that
was just back there chilling, like,
well,
why we
me
not
as a
done
law
yet?
enforcement officer, I don't think that's a proper question to ask, and that's just me. If I was going to do a traffic stop and a person did what your wife did, what I would say is I would make it clear, ma'am, you don't have to do all that, and then I would kindly ask this question, ma'am, is there anything in the car that is illegal or something that I might need to know about that may be perceived as illegal? I wouldn't say, excuse me, ma'am, is there a gun in the car? I just say, ma'am, is there any weapons in the car? Is there anything illegal in the car that I need to know about? Because watch this. In the state of Louisiana, not knowing who she is, it's perfectly fine for her to have a gun in the car if she's a law-abiding citizen. So asking where a gun is, I can understand why a law enforcement officer may ask that, but there's a way to ask that. Ma'am, is there any
Right.
weapons in the car? Ma'am, is there anything illegal in the car that I might need to know about? But just looking at a person saying, hey, where the gun at? Wait a minute. That's not courteous. That's not the oath that law enforcement officers take to protect and serve, because the municipality I work for, which is not in the city that I live in, we don't say protect and serve. We say we serve through protection, because
Mm.
service is the first thing that comes out of us. We should always be serving the community. That means we say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am. We say yes, sir, and no, sir. No matter who it is we pull over, no matter what the condition is, and we put everyone in a position where they feel like, hey, we're just here doing the job. And we tell them why. We say, hey, we pulled you over, you made an illegal turn. We pulled you over, you have a tail light out. And guess what? Every time we pull somebody over, it doesn't lead to a citation or someone going to jail.
Right.
Sometimes people just need to know before this gets out of hand and something happens that might cause harm to you. Mind you, there's a tail light out. So you might be trying to signal to turn into a lane, not knowing the car behind you doesn't even know you're trying to turn because your tail light's out. And guess what? Now you're in an accident and somebody may get hurt or injured. You know, I'm just saying, and once again, I will be the first to raise my hand and testify that all police officers, everybody who dons on that uniform is not meant to don on that uniform. It's like any other profession. There are people who should not be teachers. There are people who should not be priests. There are people, sadly, there are some people who I feel like should not have been people anyway. And that's just me. And I'm not trying to be ugly, but sometimes I really look and say, how'd you make it through? How, Lord, I know that they say you make no, but how this one? You know, because there's some people I feel like, how you make it to be a person? Because you not a good example of a human being. With that being said, it's time that we bring in the life strategist, the art therapist, the speaker, the Arthur. You know her from North New Jersey. Brick City is in the building. It's none other than the Jax. Looking festive. What happened?
I'm loving this like whole look. Like I am loving it. Like it is everything.
I might have to hold on. Let me
Like,
hold on. Look at here.
Like I am
Come
loving it.
through. Come
Yes.
through. Hold on. Let me get
Loving
myself
it.
right. Come through. Y'all
Loving it.
showing
You
off.
did,
She's
sis.
showing off. I'm telling you.
Thank
Look at her. Go on.
Aw.
Go on.
I
How
am
you doing,
loving it.
Jax?
I'm doing well. I apologize for the delay. Right as I was about to come on, I got an important call, which was amazing that I've been waiting for all day. So I had to handle some business, big transactional stuff. So I couldn't push that call to the side.
We fully understand.
Yes.
So
You know how it goes, y'all.
So since we were in the conversation, Willie Pickens put out here as we begin to have this conversation, he said it seems like officers need some training. And Willie, I'm going to say this, and I'm not trying to be ugly. Some do. Some might need a little extra training. But when the dust settles and everything is said and done, all the training in the world will not compensate for a person with bad character or a person who is a bad person. I don't care how much training you do, how much you show them the right way. If a person is hell bent, like for example, as I said, breaking news, Florida State University, Tallahassee, Florida. I frequently, if you go on my social media page, you will see many a times when I am in Tallahassee, Florida, because I do work for, as you see on my jersey, the Southern University, who we play Florida A&M, which is literally right across the tracks from Florida State. Florida A&M and Florida State literally are one university. They're just separated by a railroad track. You wouldn't, if you didn't know and you wasn't from Tallahassee, you wouldn't know when you cross one campus to the other if you wasn't paying attention to the colors and the mascot. So there was a shooting at Florida State. Here's what we know. 2 people are dead, and a sheriff's deputy's son is in custody after an active shooter was reported at Florida State University campus in Tallahassee. The suspect is the 20-year-old son of a sheriff's deputy that is from the county that Tallahassee is in, which is Leon County. His mother has served honorably on that sheriff's department for over 18 years.
Wow.
And one of the weapons that was used in the shooting is reportedly one of her weapons. My God. So here we go. We've got, and I got a child getting ready to go off to college year after next. Jax has got a daughter getting ready to leave for Spelman University. Let us ring the bell for that. And she's got a son too. I think your son is a senior next year?
No, he will be a 10th grader next year.
Oh,
but
well,
his school was from 6th to 9th, and then he'll go to another school for 10th.
So she's got a son that's but I have my youngest son, who I just saw today, along with my grandson. I lit up the police lights for my grandson, and he lost his head. He was like, lights.
Papa Joe.
But But here's the thing, and I really want y'all to think about this and share this. Get some people to come in. I've opened up the phone lines. If y'all want to join in the conversation, we can. Nobody sends their child off to school ever thinking that something so tragic at school would happen that another student would kill their child at school. There are two families right now, because there are two people dead. Reported, two people dead. There are two families right now who, I don't know the age of the individuals who are deceased, but if those two individuals who are dead are Florida State students, there are some families right now that really are like probably completely flabbergasted. If not, I can't even explain the emotions they might be going through.
Yeah. It's horrific, Joe. You know, it's like you said, it's scary when you have kids about to go or they are there. It's rough enough when you live in the hood and they're walking amongst, the streets anyway. But when you're so far from your child and they're away like that, I mean, that has to be any parents, one of their worst nightmares actually, to get that phone call, God forbid their child loses their life. And sometimes even if the child takes their own life, we've had something like that recently happen as well. And it's quite often, and it's just so unfortunate. And that's why we always talk about mental health and getting the help you need. And I always say asking for help is a sign of strength, not a sign of weakness. And too often within our
Exactly.
community, right? And too often within our community, we feel that if we're going to someone for help, that it means that we're weak, we're out the fight, we lost it. We're no longer capable of making our own decisions, but we just have to say, you know what, I can't do this by myself right now. I need some help. So Alethea, I love the stuff that you put out there daily because it's beautiful, and I know you are impacting and changing lives daily. And
Thank
same with
you.
you, Joe.
You know,
And I feel like, and this has a lot to do with how we are conditioned, especially as Black people. It has a lot to do with how we are conditioned and how we are raised. And granted, there's nothing wrong with this, but there is something wrong with
Mm-hmm.
this. So because I was told this most of my life when I was dealing with like mental issues and things of that nature. The one thing I was always told was you need to go to God and pray. You need to go to God and pray. Go to church. Go to, like, that was the end all be all. But it was never go to God and pray and also get some help.
get a counselor. There are
Right,
something.
right,
Yeah,
right.
hold it. Now we're not now. Listen, I don't want nobody to think 1 minute that we are negating the power of prayer, but prayer
Oh
alone
no.
sometimes ain't the solution. Hold on, prayer alone sometimes is not the solution. Sometimes you have to understand that everything that God put on this earth, He put it on this earth for a reason. And some folks, and thank God, we got people like Jax, who her
Yes.
profession is a life strategist. She deals with mental health. We were trying to get my good friend on here, Chris Morant. Chris let me know as much as he was ready to come on. He's in the middle of a crisis call right now. We need to understand it's okay not to be okay. What's not okay is not to seek help once you know you're not okay. It's almost like saying, man, I got a cold, but I ain't going to the doctor.
That's right. That's
Right,
right. And
but
sometimes we need a trifecta. We need sometimes prayer. All the time I say prayer. Then you
Right.
might need a life strategist, but then you also technically might need a therapist as well, because all life coaches are not therapists, right? So
Right.
sometimes you
right.
need a psychologist or a psychiatrist, and sometimes you need the medication that goes along with
Ah,
that, right?
But
So
man.
that goes to God helps those who helps themselves. We can't always depend on, yes, pray, but you need to also put forth effort to help yourself.
that's right.
You do your best and let God do the rest. But
Mhm.
you have to hold yourself accountable and say, what do I need to do? How can I help myself? Because I can't expect other people to always help me.
Mhm.
How am I going to help me? How am I going to help myself? And if that means taking medicine,
Mhm.
take your medicine. I am ADHD. I
Mhm.
take my medicine.
Mhm. Mhm.
That
And it's
part.
yeah, and I mean, and we don't need to be ashamed of that. If you have a headache,
Not at
you take a
all.
Tylenol or something, right? If your knee is swollen or whatever, you might take some sort of Advil or some sort of ibuprofen or whatever you need to help with the swelling, right? Or so we just gotta really understand that we get checkups for every other part of our body. But if you ever talk about, especially in our community, getting a mental checkup, that's taboo. So we
Yeah.
have to definitely reduce that stigma and say it's no longer taboo. Just like you would get anything else fixed up, you got to get your mind fixed up. And you're right.
You want me to tell you why? Because
Mhm.
I've heard this my whole life, even prior to when I was taking medicine. The like stigma is that when you do take medicine, like I do, or anything for mental illness, oh, did you take your like crazy pill today?
Yeah.
So people think that if you're taking medication for any mental illness, then you got to be crazy. Like you're not
Mhm.
right. Like something is
Mhm.
wrong. Just because you take medicine does not mean that something is wrong with you. It does not mean that you are broken. You have a
Yeah.
chemical imbalance,
That
Mhm.
part. and,
Mhm.
and see,
and
that's why folks don't
that's it.
understand. Your
Yeah.
your your chemical imbalance may have you being a certain way. Now, Letha, I want to rewind back a little bit, just a little bit. You brought up something that I think one of the reasons, in my humble opinion, that folks sometimes look at situations the way they look at them is because we got a lot of folk out here that cry wolf a whole lot.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
So
But they say
I just,
selling wolf tickets.
and look, I just had to say that because when you
Mhm.
said something, it kind of you said, people are always, some folks are needy. Some folks appear to be needy, but they really greedy.
Yeah.
Like for example, I've seen folks who all the time need help for something.
Mhm.
All the time they need help for something. I mean, all the time. I mean,
Mhm.
it's like you help them and you say, well, they're gonna get on their feet, and then you help them get, we all have that one relative. Let me just go ahead and put my family business out there.
Mhm.
I got that one cousin that every time you see him, he gonna ask you for a 6-pack of liquor and a $20 bill. And you be
Mhm.
like, cuz, you working? Yeah, man, but I'm a little short. And you be like, when are you gonna be able to get your own 6-pack of beer? And when you gonna give me back these 55 20s I done gave you? Because now I
Mhm.
done almost gave you $1,000. Because every time, hey, cuz, you got 20. Or
Mhm.
listen, and I also have some relatives that, and I'm just getting in my family tree. I got some relatives, I'm like, bruh, what do
Mhm.
you mean they're about to cut your lights off?
Mhm.
What do you mean you can't pay this, that, these, or the third? And I'm like, it's all right. I'll help you when I can,
Yeah.
but I just sit there and go, every time I talk to you, there's a problem. And that's where
Mhm.
I really think we need to get to a place where we start teaching financial literacy,
Mhm.
because it's a bad look. It's even a bad look. I have cousins that sometimes do this number. Well, my daughter getting ready to do this, or my son getting ready to do this. I know you can help them out because I know how you roll. And I'm like, Doc,
Mhm.
I got 5 children, a grandchild, and trust me, I
Yeah.
don't have a tree in my backyard that says money, 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 money,
That's right. That's right.
money. So,
Somebody always
I'm
counting
just
your pockets.
right. And
Mhm.
and I asked myself that, and here's the reason why. I'm gonna caveat on this, because I have to give Harvard University a big ups right now. I'm gonna give them the horn. Harvard University said, we are the home of Harvard Law, where most of your Supreme Court justices went to law school at.
Mm.
You know, so we love you, President Trump, because I like what the president said. We understand you are the president of the United States, and because we understand politics and we
Mhm.
understand the branches of government, we respect that the people elected you. But there has never been a president in the history of this country that has told a private institution how to run their business.
Mhm. Right?
Now, if you want to take your money, fine, take your money, but you don't tell us what goes on the campus of Harvard. And you know, as much as I know some folks who are, because we got people on here that love Trump, and I don't have anything against Donald Trump, but I did have to think, and I always put it in this caveat. I wonder if President Barack Obama had went to a private university, that maybe the values of that private university wasn't his values or did not suit his agenda. And he said, y'all better stop doing what y'all doing, because I'm the president and I feel like that's un-American. And if you don't stop what you're doing, I'm going to pull all my federal funding from you. And I'm like, if, for example, if Barack Obama, when they were having the controversy at Ole Miss University, which is in Mississippi, that used to have the rebel flag as their symbol, I'm pretty sure if Barack would have showed up and said, y'all need to take that Confederate flag down, they would have raised all mounts of hell and said, I dare you.
He already said, like, he had a whole press conference and said, if it were me, whenever I was in office, if I would have done even a piece of what he's doing now, y'all would have let me have it. Like, y'all like,
That's right.
but he was not able to, and that came out of his mouth. If that were me, y'all would not let me make it. So, but y'all are allowing him to do all of these things, and nobody is saying anything. And I know it's petty, and sometimes China is being real petty right now. Like on TikTok, China is being petty.
Oh yeah.
China said, okay, well, y'all want to raise tariffs? Well, listen to this. All these high end bags and things of that nature. Like, it's just China said, okay, look. But it's like, why is it okay for some people to, well, I know why, but why is it okay for some people to do certain things but others cannot?
So let me add this to the caveat. This is from WAFB in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The university that I happen to have this pullover from, that I do a great deal of work for during football season. We're getting ready we just came to a spring game. We're getting ready for football season, and it'll be here before you know it. The Trump administration, President Donald Trump and his administration, has terminated student visas for 7 Southern University students. Now, why did I put that up here? There are some folks that say, well, they don't need to be here. Mind you, most of you who go to a doctor, your doctor is not from the United States of America. I'm just going to say that real slow. Most of you who go to a doctor, your doctor is not from the United States of America. Most of you who have to deal with certain things, especially if and Jackson and I have had some of the most lively, laughing conversations. Ride through your community. See how many stores are owned by folk that look like you and I, or better yet, folks who are just American.
That's right.
To have 7 students who, Lord knows, one of these students could be the next person who cures cancer. They're studying here in America. Most of them will stay here in America. Most of them will spend their life here in America. Most of them will make their money and pay taxes here in America. You know, just because right now, and here's the crazy thing. Every time I hear about an illegal alien or a person who don't need to be here, why has it got to be a black and brown person? Because the last time I checked, they show a lot of folks coming from Europe over here illegally also. There is a lot of Europeans I
Absolutely.
know. I know.
That's right.
There is a lot
Yeah.
of, because of the job I do, there is
Yeah.
a lot of Europeans that are over here illegally. But when they talk about illegal folks, they talking about black and brown folks, or folks that are coming from south of the border. They don't tell you about the illegal folks that came here from Europe, from Canada, from
Yeah.
New Zealand, from Australia,
Mhm.
from South Africa, that are not
Mhm.
black and brown, because they
Mhm.
are white folks
Because
that are
they look
African. Okay.
the part.
Okay.
No,
Because
absolutely.
they look the part.
Yeah.
So if you look the part, then you ain't really got to worry about that.
That's right. But you know what? Watch how it's going to start to shift, because yesterday the Supreme Court in the United Kingdom had this huge ruling that's been going on forever, but it just pretty much concluded. And now what they're saying in the UK, the Supreme Court actually said that the legal definition of a woman is based on their biological sex, right? So a lot of the, transgender people were just really, obviously offended by that, because they're saying, look, I identify as a woman, but the UK Supreme Court said, not anymore. If you're identified as the sex that you were born at. So if you're born as a girl, you're a girl, in the story. So a lot of the lesbian women actually in the UK are ecstatic at this, right? Because they were saying now they can have walking groups and have their girl groups, right? Without worrying about a man being a part of it, saying that, well, I identify as a woman as well. And now they're having a man technically infiltrate these girl groups. And so I found it so fascinating, because I watch a lot of, overseas news,
Right.
because we always get some BS over here. So I like to find the real deal and what other countries are talking about. And a young lady had a big poster outside of the Supreme Court, and it said, "I will not call the man who raped me she, Your Honor." And I just found that, quite fascinating. So yes, there is going to be an influx, I guarantee, of another population of people that don't look like us necessarily coming over into the US, or sneaking here, or coming and just never returning again, because now that they're being pushed out of society, essentially, in Europe.
I mean, you got to just be careful these days. I mean, right now,
Mhm.
and here's the thing that bothers me the most about the situation in El Salvador.
Phew.
There is $6 million of our tax money
Six
being,
million.
hold it, let me say that one more again. It is
Yeah.
$6 million that we are paying El Salvador to house, hold it, watch this, not Americans, not Americans. Hold up.
Mhm.
We are paying El Salvador $6 million to house individuals who are not even American.
Yeah.
So $6 million of our money is going to a prison. And let me tell you something. I still cannot put my finger on it, have not researched it, but I just don't, something about this with this prison don't feel right to me. I'm like, this is a highly sophisticated prison to be in El Salvador. So I'm
Yeah.
like, who in the world has invested into this prison? Just like right now in the great state of Louisiana, even though we had 4 constitutional amendments that everybody's bragging and boasting about how we didn't let it pass. But still, you didn't
Mhm.
stop them. And watch this. Right now, they are building one of the biggest juvenile facilities in the United States of America, right here in Louisiana.
I believe it. They were
They're
trying.
privatizing prisons.
Yeah, absolutely. They were trying that in Newark. And you know what? I shared something on my social media today about that, prison in El Salvador. And we have to look at it also, because the president of El Salvador is not even like a native El Salvadorian, right? And we know that there was the transatlantic, slave trade, and there was a sub-Saharan slave trade. So we still kind of have to look at, and understand who our oppressors are and why they move how they do. So with that prison in El Salvador, here's some information if you were not aware. It was designed and completed in 2023, and it was as a response to overcrowding in the El Salvador prisons, built to house up to 40,000 inmates for
Mm.
the worst of the worst gang members. And also, they're talking about once they deport somebody over there to that prison, they're not necessarily trying to bring them back home if they
Right.
realize, like, oh shoot,
And
you
that's what
shouldn't
I
have been here,
listen, Jax. And that's
right?
what I wanted to get into. The guy from Maryland that they got, that
hmm
everybody's done said, this guy's not a gang member.
Yeah,
What bothers me the most about this whole situation is I haven't heard anybody said that they've seen him.
yeah,
Understand, the congressman from Maryland went down to El Salvador, but I haven't seen him come on TV one time and say, I met with this guy.
yeah.
I saw him face to face,
hmm
and I let him know we're doing everything we can to get him back to American soil, to his wife and children. And
hmm
that bothers me, because I'm like, man, I'm praying. that when the dust settles and everything is done, that they don't come up one day and say, "Oh, we can't bring them back." You know, there was some crazy MS-14 gang member who
Yeah, in the
stabbed him
60s.
and killed him, and he died there in that prison. I mean, in family, we need to pay
Yeah,
attention to this.
that's
Just
right.
like when they're showing on TV these young ladies and these young men who are from foreign countries who are 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 years old,
hmm
and they're walking on these college campuses, and all of a sudden somebody rolls up on them and takes
hmm
them in custody and puts them in God knows what
Yeah.
facility where, because
hmm
the young man I think they scooped up around the Northeast, he's down
Yeah.
here in Louisiana in the prison.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what's happening because you know what? I've been telling my art therapy students who, many of you guys know, they're all on house arrest from stealing cars, guns, gangs, drugs, what have you. And they're between the ages pretty much of 12 to 18. It's a couple 12-year-olds, but primarily 13 to 18. And I told them a long time ago before this election even happened, look, they're trying to find a way to exterminate you and get you out of the population. And once these additional laws and stuff are passed, that is what's going to happen. Because I mean, like I'm looking at this thing also, furthermore, with the prison in El Salvador, it says its aim is to be a permanent solution, no rehabilitation, no return to
Mm.
society, right? It says the justice minister bluntly stated that prisoners at CCOT will never return to their communities, right? Now, these
Woo.
guys are in there, right? These guys are in there packed like sardines. They're on their daily regimen, total lockdown. Prisoners are confined shoulder to shoulder in their cells for 23 and a half hours a day. No
Mm.
outdoor time whatsoever. Fluorescent lights remain on for 24 hours a day. They have no sense of time and no sleep cycle. Even the people that are inside there, the guards and stuff, are wearing, what they call shiesties. They wearing ski masks.
Mm.
They receive 30 minutes a day of tightly controlled corridor exercise. No, and I've told my students this, no visits from family or from attorneys, right? No letters, no phone calls. All cell phone signals are blocked within a 1.5 mile radius, right? They have mass virtual trials, up to 900 prisoners at a time. So it is insane. The toll it has on these prisoners psychologically, mentally, physically, emotionally is unheard of. And they are even taking juveniles around the age of 16, and they're in cells with hardened gang members.
That's
So
crazy.
we have these kids in these urban areas, these young men, young women stealing cars. It's just a matter of time before we start getting shipped, because they starting out with the immigrants, what they're trying to say, right? But they know what the master plan is. They plan for generations.
Hey,
So
hey,
they
Oh,
know
yeah.
exactly,
Oh,
President
yeah.
Trump clearly stated. Now he walked it back, but he
Mhm,
clearly stated that El Salvador is doing such a good job.
mhm.
Maybe that's where we need to start sending some of our most heinous criminals.
Yeah.
So as you see, they are planning on outsourcing. And once
Mhm,
again, think about it. Yes, this man was from El Salvador. He
mhm,
was living with his wife who is American. And
mhm.
that confuses me. I'm like, wait a minute. If he's married to a woman who's American,
Yeah. Mhm,
but here's the thing. I have heard nobody
mhm,
say that they've seen him outside of that one picture they
mhm.
show with him with his head shaved. And that
Mhm.
saddens me
Yeah,
because that lets me know how they can make you disappear.
that's right. That's right.
And my
Mhm.
good friend from down in Florida, and
Mhm,
prayers go out to Florida, especially Tallahassee, Brother Cope.
mhm,
I have to, because here's something I had to wake up to, and I woke up to it, and it's not something that I'm happy about, but it's still the
mhm,
truth. The American people voted, and they voted Donald Trump to be president. He's the president.
mhm.
Shame on those. And if somebody got a problem with it, either we should have rallied our people to vote for somebody else that he wouldn't have became president. But at the end of the day, the people vote, they spoke, he won. He's president. Just like
Mhm,
I don't do folk like they do me. I understand a lot of folks would have never said that about Barack Obama. Well, shame on you. He's
mhm.
still the president. He still was the president. He's a former president, and it is what it is. There have been a lot of people who have been in the White House, the governor's house, the mayor's house, the outhouse that I
Mhm.
didn't like. But hey, if you're in there, if you're in
Yeah.
the house, you're in the house.
Mhm,
Here's how my stance on that. You can be in the house. I know who sits on the throne.
That's right. That's right.
And as long as I know who sits on the throne, I really don't worry about who's in the house. I do my part. That if anybody ever questions me and say, well, you talked that, did you vote? Yes, I voted. Who'd you vote for? None of your business.
Yeah, yeah. And look how oxymoronic it is, Joe. He wants to outsource, stop outsourcing and getting stuff from all other countries, right? But they want to take our most precious people and send us over there. And granted, I understand gangbangers, you know, all of that stuff, but we know what the real deal, what they're trying to do. They still are our people.
I can say this, and I want Alethea to chime in because Alethea has been a school teacher. You know, first of all, today I heard on the DL Hughley show, and I was riding around in my unit, finishing up some things. We had a great graduation today, had some new officers that graduated from the academy, and now are officers. I pray God's grace over their life because it's not a easy job being a police officer.
That's right.
But today I was listening to the DL Hughley show, and there was a guy who I felt was just completely wrong. Because to me, there's some things you leave it out the pulpit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes I think people, I call it clickbait. They say stuff to clickbait. So this guy on the DL Hughley show says, you know what? Y'all mad at these police officers beating up your kids. You need to teach your kids better. You need to teach them this. You need to teach them that. Well, sir, this didn't just happen overnight. Mm-hmm. What we seeing today did not just happen overnight. You got to understand. And I am a police officer, but even in me being a police officer, I understand the origin of policing was really gathering up slaves.
Yep.
And freed Black and brown folks. That folks say we can't let these freed folks hang around our slaves because our slaves might get an idea.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
It was. First of all, we have to be real about some things to ourselves. First of all, folks have to really say, you know, when they put together this great paper that Dr. King says, look, I ain't asking you to do anything special for me. I'm just asking you to keep that contract that you signed, that you said all men are created equal. But understand, when they wrote that, we were not considered as men or women. We were considered less than human. We were considered as property. So I know Alethea deals with these children, and I know you worked in a school that the children that were a part of that school came from social, economic, deprived community. A lot of folks don't understand. It's hard for you to talk about children, especially Black and brown children, when you don't know where they came from or what they had to deal with to just get to school. Some of them come to school, never had a meal, have never had a bath. You know, and then you go, well, that's sad that people will do their children like that. But you don't understand the social economical reasons and how people have been redlined and put into impoverished areas, that poverty is their moniker. Poverty is what hangs around their neck. That is their moniker. To be exact, no one has ever showed them outside of how to run a ball or to sing and dance their way out of a situation, how to get themselves out the hood by using sound financial principles. Sister Alethea, talk to me about the school system.
This makes me think of one of my fathers, and I felt for him so much. He made a couple of bad choices in his life, and he had to go to jail. He turned his life around. He came back home and he wanted to do right. He wanted to do right by his kids. Did not have the best of everything. Sometimes the kids would come and they didn't have the cleanest clothes. They didn't have certain things. And I kept hearing people say, well, he needs to get a job. He needs to get a job. Well, what do you think he's been trying to do all this time? He's been trying to work. He's been trying to change his life, but the system will not allow him to get a job. And there are a lot of parents like that. And it's so easy to say, well, go out and get a job when you don't look a certain type of way, when the world doesn't see you a certain type of way. It is easy for you to say, go out and get a job when you don't come from where they come from.
Mm.
They have been, but they're looked at a certain way, so nobody wants to give them a job. Like, we need to stop saying that, oh, well, they're not doing nothing. They're not doing this. They're not doing that. How do you know? Because most of them really are. Most of them are trying their damnedest to make ends meet. But because they don't look like certain people, y'all don't even want to give them a shot. So it's not like they're not trying to raise their kids. They are literally working with what they have. And sometimes what they have is not much.
That's
Right.
But they are
Right.
doing the best that they can. And just as far as teaching the kids to do better, just like you said, Joe, as far as cops go, you can train them and train them and train them. I know I raised my kids the best that I knew how. My mama raised us the best that she knew how. She instilled greatness in us, but that didn't stop. And my brother did not want for nothing, but he wanted more. And it didn't matter how she raised us, he still chose to go out there and sell drugs and stuff. So I mean, you can have all of the home training in the world. If your mindset is on this one thing, you're gonna go and do that. Because sometimes selling drugs look good. Sometimes being in a gang look good. So I want to go to where it look good and give me fast money, because that is the world that we live in. It is microwavable, and we don't want to work for it.
Hold on. And listen, and everybody has the example. I know people who have paid their way through law school on a stripper pole.
Yeah. Yes.
Hold on. I know some people right now that are federal district attorneys, regional district attorneys, local district attorneys, that when they were in law school, they were on a stripper pole. I'm not here to judge or pass judgment on anybody. As I always tell people, I never want to tell you what to think or how to think, but I tell you, you need to start thinking. And understand, we've got to start having more compassion for one another. Just because I don't know all your dirty little secrets, don't mean you ain't got them.
Amen.
And as a good friend of mine once said, you all got secrets until you get caught. And see, we've got to start understanding that, to me, the most hypocritical thing anybody can do is begin to down you, knowing that they got worse skeletons in their closet. And the only reason they're downing you or coming at you the way they're coming at you is because they believe those skeletons will never get exposed. I'm here to let some folks know tonight. And like I say, this truth be told in the PM is a different animal. I'm here to let some folks know tonight, God don't sleep or slumber.
That's
You
right.
play all you want to with whoever top you want to play with. The one top you will never be able to play with because your arms are too short
That's
to
right.
box with God. Your arms are way too short to box with the Most High. And he will have you in situations and circumstances that you'll be sitting there going, man, I don't.
Tore up.
Yeah, you'll be toe up. So, try to be the best you can be and understand. Stop looking for glorification from folk. I said this, and Lethea heard me say it. I done opened up a lot of doors for a lot of folks who don't even speak my name. I'm good with that. That's between them and their God. I did what God told me to do, and I have a clear conscience, and I can look at them in any room I walk into, dead in the eye, and be like, I'm glad to see you here. Now, I want you to eat, and I want you to eat well. I just don't want you to eat at my table no more.
Amen.
Next. But not the one of the biggest problems with us, and when I say us, I'm talking about me too, is we put limits on ourselves, and
Right.
we allow the world to tell us what we can and cannot do, and we feel like once we reach a certain level, that's it. And I talked to somebody about this today whenever he was like, I've felt like I've reached my ceiling. I felt like I've gone as far as I knew how. I've reached my ceiling. And as he's saying that, like we're in a building and I'm looking at the ceiling and I'm thinking, but on top of that ceiling is a roof. And on top of that roof is a tree. And on top of that tree is the sky. But we always limit ourselves to that ceiling, thinking that ceiling is as high as we can go. But what we don't realize is that ceiling is the box that the world has put us in. So if you step outside that box, then you will see that there are things higher than that ceiling.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
That's
Stop
right.
limiting
That was
yourself,
beautiful. Beautiful.
thinking that you just have to go as high as this.
Right,
Mhm.
right. You can't listen.
We put
You
limits
can't put limits.
on
You
us.
don't put limits on
That's right.
yourself. Understand that your attitude will most of the time determine your altitude.
Li-
And you have
j-
to start doing the
Right.
following. Stop blaming. Listen, I got a group of folk that I don't even consider them friends no more. I just consider them people I know. I got a group of folks I know. Every time they don't get what they want or they demise or it doesn't come out the way they want it, they blame it on everybody else. Baby, start looking your good self in the mirror, your own self, and say, the reason I am getting the results I am getting is because of either A, the people I'm hanging around, the way I'm doing things, the way I'm saying things. Start looking at yourself. Now, don't get me wrong. There are other factors out there, but I'm here to testify. I don't care who tell you that you can't. If you believe that you can and the most high cosigns you doing it, you can do it. Whatever it is.
That's
I
what I
don't
was
care.
going to say.
That's
I
right.
don't care. I don't care what folks say. If folks tell you, if folks right now say, you know what? We're gonna cancel Joe Dupree. Okay. You can get the right folks lined up with you and you can cancel Joe Dupree. But when the most high say Joe Dupree is your time,
That's
is
right.
your season, and what I have for you is for you, ain't nobody can stop it, block it. All you can do is sit by and watch it.
Oh,
That's why
okay.
he's
but
saying his word.
Bars.
That's
but
why he's saying his. Go ahead.
another factor as to why we don't have it is because God has a bigger plan for you, so He will not allow you to have it. And this is
That's right.
something that I know for a fact, because when I was in the school system, I was up for a promotion. I applied. They looked me in my eyes and told me that I was the most qualified, looked me in my face and said, out of everybody that we interviewed, you were the best one. And I just knew I had got it. Then they turned around and gave it to
Yep.
my white counterpart. Oh, and did I handle it well? No, I didn't, because at that time I had not grown.
Yeah.
So I did not handle it in a good way. Looking back on it now, God didn't want me to have that, because had I taken that, had I gotten it, I would not be here right now. I would have never met Joe. I would have never met Jax. Why? Because I would have thought that that was my ceiling and I would have been comfortable
That's
where
right.
I was. A lot of us get too comfortable and we think that we can't move up. Sometimes you don't have it because God has more for you.
Hey,
And sometimes, Alethea, people are just afraid. Sometimes people are afraid of
Yes.
success. So success, I mean, fear will cripple you. It will straight up paralyze your potential. It will cripple you and have you stuck in a flight or fright state, right? Flight or fight state. And people just need to just realize, like you say, be great in their face. Be great in their face and just, we just got to keep it moving and don't put yourself in that box. It's the same thing with mental health and dementia. If you
Yes.
have a senior citizen sitting in a home, like in their little apartment or in the senior building, guess how fast their cognitive abilities are going to decline just from being in that one little room studio apartment or that one little hospital room. When they're not getting out, triggering those neurons and, having new experiences on a daily basis, even if it's just opening a door to look outside or somebody visiting them, even love, even touch, it helps regenerate your cells and helps you to grow, and the endorphins start flowing and makes you feel good, and quite often we find ourselves around the same people with the same mindset. So
Ooh,
many times it's good or many times it's bad, but not
come on,
not
Vex.
often are you going to have all the same together rolling at the same pace. It's not going to happen. You're going to outgrow somebody or they're going to outgrow you. You just have to decide which end of the stick you want to be on.
And
Go ahead, Doug.
understand this. And you just got to have a smile on your face. And I say this all the time. I'm so blessed to be around these
Mhm.
two wonderful women. They are a joy to call my friends, my sisters. They're a joy for me to sit down and listen to. They're a joy because many a times they make light bulbs go off in my head. You got to be around folks. You got to be, I had to pull myself up a little bit. You got to be around folk who do not look at you as competition.
Mm.
Mhm.
They
Mhm.
look at you as a person that either they can work with or they can learn from.
That's right. You got to be around
And-
people that want to win, Joe.
right.
Right?
You gotta be around. Watch this.
If you want to win.
Because right. And you gotta understand, everybody can't be Phil Jackson. Everybody
Mhm.
can't be Michael Jordan. But the last time I checked, Steve Kerr got the same rings Mike got.
That's
You
right.
get what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to, and guess what? There was a few folks that sit on the bench, and I don't even know their name. I think they got rings too. See, you can just be there as a supporting person on the winning team, and you can win also. Last time I checked, the Water Boy. I
That's
learned
right.
this. I learned this working for the LSU when they won the national championship. The Water Boy got a ring.
That's
Yeah,
right.
the Water Boy got hold it. He didn't
Mhm.
get he didn't get no, like you go out there and get them replica. He got a
That's
ring.
right. And just like the players want to win, that water boy want to win too.
Right.
Right.
So that's
Right.
why you got to
And
surround
right.
yourself with those that
He
with
want to
like
be
mind.
serving the best. He Bobby Boucher. He want to
Yeah,
serve you
yeah.
high quality H2O.
That's
See,
right.
and watch this. And this is the beautiful thing, like with Alethea. We all have our shortcomings. I have my own there are names I will mess up. There are things I will do. No matter what your shortcoming is, you got to trust that if God has something for you, your shortcoming won't even be seen in the room that you walk into. See, I have to remind myself, and I called Jackson, told Jackson this. Something reminded me of something like today. I was looking at my grandson, and I said, man, there may come a day that somebody that I done opened the door for and blessed will be reminded of how I blessed them. I may be in the dirt and gone to the other side,
That's
but
right.
guess what they may say? I need to find, like in the Bible, there's a guy named Mephibosheth. And
Mhm.
David said, I need to find somebody in Saul's lineage, in his bloodline, who I can bless because of the goodness of this man, because he could have killed me, but he didn't. So
That's
I
right.
need to find somebody, and then all of a sudden the servant jumped up and said, man, you can bless me. I was the servant of. He said, no. I need to find some blood. And they
Mhm.
said, well, he got a son named Mephibosheth, but that dude, man, he in a place called Lodabar. And see, Lodabar, the name itself means no communication. So sometimes we just like Mephibosheth. We done had somebody done dropped us. We
Mhm.
walking around deformed, hurt,
Mhm.
busted,
Mhm.
disgusted, can't be trusted. We in a place of no communication in the pigsty because everything in life done came at us, not knowing that the king is out there looking for us to bless us.
Yeah.
And it
That's right.
wasn't because of what he did. It was because of what his grandfather did.
That's
Somebody
right.
who dead and gone. See, what you do now, what you do now, family. I don't care who click like a share, who don't like this, but what you
Mhm.
do now matters later. So some of y'all need to stop all that, because some of y'all, what y'all doing, y'all politicking. That's it. That's what y'all do. Y'all lying. Y'all begging. And the truth about it is, you done found a way to hustle your own folk and make them feel like you know something that you really don't know. We got to stop that. Because the problem is we got too many folk around here that y'all done put the knowledge hat on their head and they don't know up from down, left from right, and they like the Pied Piper and they about to lead you straight to the water and you gonna drown.
That's right.
So
That's
listen,
right, Joe.
whenever somebody dies,
Mhm.
and even on their tombstone, on everything that they have,
Mhm.
the date that you are born,
Mm-hmm.
and the date that you die,
Come on.
Mhm.
and in the middle they have that dash. When my brother passed, it put a lot of things into perspective for me. The reason that there were so many people at his funeral is because of that dash.
That
The
part.
reason why so many people loved him is because of that dash. The reason why people still talk about him now is because of that dash. So it's not, I don't even, people will not remember the date that you were born. They may or may not remember when you die, but that dash,
That's right.
that is what they are going to remember. How did you make them feel?
Yes,
What goodness did you put out there? So I want my dash to be so thick and so full that 10 years after I die, they're gonna still, oh yeah, huh? Oh, she was, because my dash. And Joe, that's why you were honored.
Yeah.
That's why you were honored. Because even long after you go, if your grandson goes for a job and they see the name Anderson Dupree, you Joe's grandson. Oh, come on, because I know Joe, because Joe helped me, because Joe, not even me, because Joe helped my daughter's daughter whenever she your dash.
That's right. That's
I simply say this, and I received this from a very good friend of mine, Andre Story, who is an illustrious grandmaster, past grandmaster, and a universal past grandmaster. But he said something that I had to write down, and it's really over my shoulder. It's over in front of me. People do not care how much you know until they know how much you care. So at the end of the day, I can sit here and read from Chat GPT, and I can read the news all day, and I can appear to have good grammatics and know something. But people don't care how much I know until they know how much I care. And I care. You know, I'm the type person, even my enemy, I just can't see folks suffer. If I can pick up the phone and help my enemy not go through a hard, bad day, because I know a way to give them a little alleviation of the pain, I'll call them and say, look, I understand we ain't good, but have you considered this?
That's right.
And I mean that from the heart, because I know how it feels not to have nothing or nobody.
Yeah.
And wondering how you gonna make it to the next day. So because I know how that feels, I don't want nobody to go through what I went through. I don't want children. That's why I show myself up at the orphanage once a week and check on certain orphans. I even have a friend of mine today at the police station said, man, I was at the orphanage and this girl said, you know, Mr. Joe. And she said, yeah. She said, he come by and check on us. And I was like, what Joe doing going checking on the orphanage? Because I don't tell my story to everybody. But because of what I went through, I don't want to see another child go through that. And I understand this is a cruel world out here, y'all. Listen, I feel saddened when I see the video like Alethea and I just saw in our community, regardless of if it was legal or not. See, I tell people, just because it's legal don't mean it's moral.
That's right.
And, you know, when I see this video of the situation that happened with the police officer, the first thing I say, because I'm a police officer too, is there comes a time in my profession you learn how to keep your mouth shut. And just say this when folks say, well, what's the comment to him doing that? We are investigating it. And once we come down to a conclusion of what was done by policy or not done by policy, we will sit down with all involved parties and let them know and give full transparency. Sometimes y'all problem is y'all got diarrhea of the mouth.
That's
Y'all
right.
quick to want to say something or respond to somebody when you should keep your mouth closed, because there's a reason why the word of God, excuse me, there's a reason why this word here say, be still.
Mm-hmm.
Know that I am God. There comes a time that sometimes what you need to do is say nothing.
That's
and
right.
let him speak on your behalf.
That's
he can
right.
say more to folks than you could ever say. That's the
You're
reason you
right.
got 2 eyes, 2 ears, and 1 mouth.
And you know what,
Watch
Joe?
more, listen more, and talk less.
I love that. And that's
Okay.
why one of my favorite proverbs, it talks about a fool finds no pleasure in understanding, but delights in airing their own opinion. Right. So that's why we have to just make sure that we continue to not walk as fools. Because at one point we all walked as fools. We were
Oh,
all
yeah.
making some
Girl.
decisions that had us tore up that we shouldn't even be here today. We've all made some
Girl.
sorted decisions. And by the grace of God, we know it was not but him to pull us through, to allow us to even be here before you today. So we, just continue to thank God for where we are, and pray that he continues to guide us and help us to get to the next level that we're trying to get to. And in the midst of it, pull his sheep along with us. And guess what? Somebody's ahead of us that Lord's will can help pull us along too, as
Right.
long as we're willing and ready to go. So sometimes
So-
I think we waste so much time beating dead horses, and
Right.
and instead of really just saying, you know what, you down with it, come on, bro, let's go.
Let
I was
roll.
talking to I was talking to a councilman the other day, right?
Mhm.
And I was saying about I was at this event, and there were a lot of these young boys. What the terrible name now, YN, what they call them, right?
Uh-huh.
So they all had on their little shiesty ski mask, and they black and stuff like that. And but what did they all say? They was like, yo, we want jobs, right? So one lady had promised one of the boys a job last year. She didn't even recognize this little boy. So he was like, yeah, I want a job. And she was like, oh, well, all you gotta do is call me. And he was like, yeah, I called you, but you ain't return my call. And then she's like, oh, well, then you should have called my daughter or whoever. Yeah, I reached out to her too, but nobody got back to me. And then his whole crew, gang crew was like, yo, we all want jobs. And these boys were probably like 15, 16, 17 years old. They're ready to work. But the part that a lot of cities have to put in place, we need to make sure they're getting the job training skills that they need, because you could easily get a job ultimately. But the thing is, how do you maintain that job? How do you keep that job?
Mhm.
How do you show up for that job? I always say, dress for the job you want, not the job you're trying to get. So we always have to just be
Yes.
on point and prepared.
You just said a mouthful.
Mhm.
And we as black and brown folks need to put that on our walls. It's not that we are not able to obtain anything.
Mhm.
The moniker of how good you are in anything is how
Mhm.
you maintain the thing. Not
That's
you
right.
guess what? If you obtain a Bentley and you
Yeah.
ride around for a week in a Bentley and everybody go, ooh, he got that
Mhm.
paper. He
Yeah.
rolling in that Bentley. Look at him.
Mhm.
But if 2 weeks later you're not in that Bentley no more, and somebody say, well, what happened to the Bentley? Oh, they came and got it. See, you
Yeah.
got to learn how to maintain it. We got to learn, black and brown folks, we got to wake up and we got to get back to the place of longevity.
Mhm.
I don't
Yeah.
know where longevity went awry in our community. And watch this. I get it, because I'm sure I'm going to get a couple of text messages and some
Mhm.
inboxes when this is over, because somebody's going to be very upset with what I'm about to say right now. We need to be very fully transparent and honest with one another, and just go back and say, you know what? Either I was raised right and didn't pay no attention, or I was not raised right. Or I did not have a good example. Because some of us, we so quick to throw things away, throw friends away, throw marriages away, throw our children away. We so quick that when things ain't the way we want it to be, we so quick to throw it away. That's why I need to transition into this, and I'm going to come back to where we were at. Let me put this up there. Whoo, this is a heavy one. This young man right here, big time collegiate superstar,
Mhm.
took his life,
Mhm.
took his own life. There's too many black and brown young men and young women, since I've been doing this podcast, since I've been doing radio and media in my 40 years, and I'm not even going to go through the 40 years. Let me just go through the last 5 years. I've had to put this up one too many times. But now there's slow singing and flower bringing. Mental health is real. Regardless of how you may feel, regardless of what you may heard, this young man took his life.
Mm.
That should put us all on high alert that we say this cannot happen to no more of us. I have had to put one of these up one too many times during my time of podcasting, video podcasting. There was a young lady, a cheerleader at Southern University, took her life. There was a young lady from Opelousas, drove to the Mississippi River Bridge in Baton Rouge, jumped off the bridge.
Mm.
These are our children. Do you see this man was born in the year 2000? 2000. To be exact, he ain't even make it. He didn't make it to 25.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, that's too young. That's too young. We've got to pay attention to our young men and women, and we've got to be there to listen. That's the reason why I said there's 2 ears, 2 eyes, and 1 mouth. Stop coming at these young folks as if they wrong, you right, they gonna be. No, sometimes you need to really just say, listen, if you need me, I'm here to listen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to, we got to start doing better. And we got to start looking at ourselves and stop saying, I went through it, they can go through it too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't want none of my children to suffer any of the woes of life that life has dealt me. I don't want my grandchildren to suffer any of the woes that life has dealt me. I want them to go through life as easy as possible. And if I had to bear the cross for my family, it was a cross that was well worth bearing.
That's right. And and that so breaks my heart. And it takes me to, doing art therapy with a lot of these young, young, men and women who have already been in trouble with the law. And many times when they come to art therapy, they bring a friend with them. Not only are they bringing a friend because sometimes they're scared that maybe one of the new students might be a op or in a rival gang and they need, protection in case something jumps off, but they also bring their friends within the class. And I allow it. It's not necessarily part of the program, but I still allow it. And what these young boys say to me and young girls, they say, Miss J, this is the only space that I feel safe, that I can talk and express myself. And these kids, they want to talk. And when I ask them, I'll do an exercise with them and I'll give them all index cards. And I'll say, give me about 3 things that you're missing right now. What do you need in your life? And they all say, I need somebody to talk to. I need somebody to listen to me. I need somebody to love. I want to feel loved. So they just need the basic fundamentals. And sometimes when they don't get that, and then when you extract faith, right? The faith is the piece that can really, really, help give you some more grounding, even when you feel that times are distraught and you're weak. Because 9 times out of 10, I guarantee you, a lot of those people that have committed suicide and lost their life in the act, if they could get a quote unquote do-over, I guarantee you they would have realized that this too shall pass and things would get better. But sometimes in the midst of desperation, they think like, I can't come back from this. And if you got the wrong people around you with that same sour mentality, thinking the same thing, woe is me all the time, you're going to start to really believe that and feel like there's no other option. So we need to do better even within our communities, starting some, hope and healing programs, opening your door to have a safe space for people to talk to. Even one of my brothers, Alethea, I lost 2 of my brothers, right? So condolences to you, sis, for losing your brother as well. But although my brother had gotten back into drugs again, everybody knew that his front door was always open. And he kept that door open to minister, to talk to people, to help people out, and to just be that listening ear. And he touched so many lives, but he still lost his. So, and like Alethea, when you talked about your brother and like his funeral, right? His dash. At both of my brother's funerals, you saw how they lived, even though they both battled drugs. It was packed for both of them because they were still so loved. So yesterday, I was in a town that my brother would be in all the time, one of my brothers, right? So as my daughter and I are riding through the town, I'm like, dang, he remind me of Uncle Jonathan. He remind me of Uncle Jonathan. So this one brother, Jonathan,
he didn't mind being homeless, right? He could stay with me, he could stay wherever. But Jonathan was like, I don't mind sleeping outside. He was a good guy. My brothers was handsome, nice build, big guys. But Jonathan was like, I don't want to be a burden to nobody. Like, I have my own issues going on. Like, I don't mind sleeping outside. But I remember every time I would go to that town, I was always looking, where's my brother? Because he would always be kind of in the same, vicinity pretty much at this park. But being there now, I feel like, dang, I don't have to look for him because I know where he is. Right? But at the same token, I miss him. But how he lived his life was still so full. But he still always wanted somebody to talk to. So for people like us, we have to continue to open our doors, continue to spread light and love and joy, because so many people don't have it. And so many people started out with such a tough situation, right? But we can't discard them. We can't throw them away. We still got to love on them. And these little kids need us. These little kids especially, they need us. So kudos to everybody out there doing the work and just trying to be there and be a light in your community. And if you want to start a business, y'all, go ahead and start it. Our viewers, go ahead and start it. And also, if any viewers are in the chat that have a business that they give back or want to give back, put it in the chat so we can support you and we can share it in your efforts.
We big with that. So, it's
Yes.
28
Well,
minutes past the hour.
Speaking
Come
of
on,
which,
sister. Come on, Sister
What
Alethea.
you got, sis? What you got?
Bring it, sis. Bring it.
speaking of which, my 2-3 minute segment will be
Come on.
brought to you by
Come on
the
now.
Candle Yard. The
Oh,
Candle Yard. Look, y'all, look at this candle. Like, I don't even want to,
wow.
like, isn't it beautiful? Like, this is a candle. This is a strawberry shortcake candle. And
So
when
it's
I
the
tell you,
Candle
like,
Yard.
yes, and it's by Cam the Yard. He is from Lafayette, Louisiana, and he makes these candles, and it is wrapped in plastic, but you can smell it through the plastic, and it
Oh,
smells. It smells exactly like it looks.
come on now.
Wow.
It
Wow.
smells. It smells exactly like it looks. So yes, the Candle Yard. So
Okay.
yeah,
Wow.
and it comes in so many.
So I need
he
you
has
to
like
put that.
a
I need you
banana
when this is
pudding.
over, put that in the
Ooh,
chat. Put that in the chat.
not the
Put that in.
pudding, not
Put
the
that in
nana
the-
pudding.
And it looks like banana pudding,
Are you
and it
serious?
smells. Yeah, I can show you,
Ooh.
girl. It's like gorgeous.
Sleepover party at Alethea's house.
Yes.
And listen,
Yes.
definitely catch my girl Alethea and her podcast because she putting people in the passenger seat. Because and she doing great things. Once again,
Mhm.
the Hustle and Heart Award was given to her at the Southern Tea Awards. And it was the 9th annual Southern Tea Awards. The 10th is coming up. Big ups to Destiny Livings once again. And here's what I always laugh about. Somebody wrote this, and I think I saw it on Destiny's page. Don't come at me after I done did all the work and then tell me how good of a job I did. Come help me. Let's
Yeah.
work together. Let's collaborate. Let's uplift one another. Let's work and do what we need to do to make it better for all of us. So go get them candles. Go support my girl Alethea. Her website is IamAlethea.com. Jax is doing her thing. Bless you, Jax. God bless the truth. And I don't have my guy band on. I have my Jaguar band on tonight. But let me
I
tell
got
you,
my guy band on, and
hey,
Alethea, I wear yours every day, sis.
okay,
Yes.
be great in their
And
face.
they
Yes.
face.
In their face. So listen, we come on here today. I just wanted to pop in. We'll pop in from time to time. We're in the PM. We're working on something that we'll do on a regular basis. But we just wanted to let y'all know we ain't really gone nowhere. Now, I did want to say this tonight, and I can say it with my two sisters here in a safe space. Look, y'all. Today, holding my grandson, I realized again, I can't give all of me to y'all and give nothing to them.
That's right.
So that's why I'm kind of so thankful that there's like Alethea. I'm gonna put it out there because I got the email and I can do it. Alethea will be representing 100 BLK along with her brand at Essence this year. So when Alethea runs into my good friend, and his name is Peter, and he does a lot of work with Gorilla, and Gorilla gonna ask her, "What my homeboy from Memphis 10?" Tell her your
Aw.
homeboy is doing what your homeboy always do. He taking care of home, and she just gonna smile. You know, I open doors.
Mhm.
Next year, I'm telling you, unless something crazy happens, next year, not this year, not 2025, but 2026 at the Essence Music Festival of Culture, you're gonna see Alethea, myself, and Jackson. We all gonna be in there, and we gonna be doing our thing. I have did every Essence Music Festival. Last year was the 30th anniversary. You know, I'm one of the few guys. I've been there since day one. I'm a day one Essence guy. You know, even the lady who runs Essence reached out and said, "Oh, what you mean you ain't come? What you talking about, Willis?"
Aw.
You know, but my grandson, my daughter, there are some things there are many of things that I know looking back at my life, I should have did better. So if you look back at your life and say you should have did better, why don't start doing better right now?
That's right.
See, that's our problem. We keep assuming something is promised that ain't promised to us. Nobody know you know the dash, so because you living it right now, but you don't know that end date.
Mhm.
So since you don't know the end date, act like every day could be that last day. And whatever you said you should have fixed, fix it now.
Mhm.
Because tomorrow's not promised to none of us.
Mhm.
So with that being said, at 33 minutes past the hour, as I go to Alethea and to Jackson, we getting ready really to get up out of here. I want to say this to y'all. There might be somebody out there who's got somebody they need to say something to. Say it to them. Be it good, bad, or indifferent. If it's an apology, if it's just you did me wrong, and I got to get this off my chest. I'm toting this baggage that I should have told you a long time ago. You did me wrong. Do that. People who receive that understand. Forgiveness is for you. It's really not for them. You got folk living rent free in your mind and your heart. Them folk probably done moved on and went ahead and did whatever it is they had to do. Release yourself from that. If you need to call them, text them, and tell them, look, look, I'm sorry. Do it. If you did me wrong, do it. Get that off your chest, because you don't know. We know when the dash is. The dash is right now, but
Mhm.
we don't know what that end day is. And it would be sad, a sad, sad story that if you did not get to get it off your chest before you got up out of here. I'm
Mhm.
going to say this last thing, and then I'm going to turn it on over to my sisters. I want y'all to see this because I actually borrowed this from somebody else, but I want y'all to see it because I meant it. So yeah, let me put it up there. I'm trying to find my way. There we go. Here we go. Add it. Family, this.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all need to stay far, far away, please. Stay far, 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 far away from folk who have benefited from you, but they act as if you have never done nothing good for them. That is my word for tonight. If you want some real peace in your life, you need to stay far, 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 far away from folk who you know they have benefited from you being in their life, you being a family member, you being a supporter, you being there for them when nobody else was there for them. But all of a sudden now, when you see them, they act as if you have never done nothing good for them. You need to stay far, 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 far away from folk like that. All right, let me go to Sister Alethea first. Wait a minute. Why did it do that? Ah, ah,
Mhm.
there she go. I knew she was somewhere. Alethea, talk to me, sis. Let's get ready to get up out of here. Tell me something.
So there's a saying that says you only live once. That is a lie. You live every single day. So live, focus on your dash. Do better now. Be better now. Make the change now because you might not have that to do tomorrow. Focus on your dash and live every day. Be great in your own face, then turn around and be great in theirs. All right? And you'll have a good day on purpose. You're welcome.
That part, Sister
Oh,
Jax.
she's so cute. She's so cute. I love that girl. But yes, so before I really get deep into my closing, I just want to say big ups, kudos to the Plainfield High School basketball team. They are the
Come on
number
now.
one team in the country, well, in the state rather, the state of New Jersey, Plainfield High School public education. Those kids are killing it. Salutes to my husband, Officer Harrison, who does a phenomenal, job supporting those kids. And kudos to the other police officers that actually are the coaches, of those young men. And I mean, they are just, the word is win. Because these boys, they won all season long. So win. So I want to say win, work it now. Work it now. That's what winning is all about. Don't wait. Don't keep on putting stuff off till tomorrow or next week, or when you lose 10 pounds, or when you have a couple extra commas in your bank account, or, even if you make it to one comma in your bank account, like, don't wait. Work it now. Believe in yourself. Have faith. Work hard. Make some changes. We all have changes that we can make, but don't be afraid. Don't walk in fear. Fear will paralyze your potential, and you are meant for greatness. We are the greatest people to walk the face of this earth, so we need to have our heads held high and just walk and strut and win and work it now. I love y'all. If nobody told you they do, I love you. Peace out. Jack signing out. Until next
Hey,
time.
that part. So I brought all three of us back. I know I said we were going to be here till 8, but something in my spirit said we done said what we needed to say. And sometimes, like I told you, it ain't really about it. It is never about me. So there's a lot going on in this world, family. Pay attention. And for those of you who are out there as activists, for those of you out there with platforms and voices, and the people listen and they hear you, make sure that you're speaking truth to them. And you tell them that this truth may be from your perspective and your truth. Because understand, truth can be seen from a lot of different angles. I pray for everyone who's dealing with whatever. Because there's a lot of folks out there dealing with a lot of stuff. I know. If you're dealing with health issues, I'm praying for you. If you're dealing with financial issues, I'm praying for you. If you're dealing with family issues, I'm praying for you. If you're dealing with mental health issues, I'm praying for you. But my prayer is that the Most High not only blesses you with a way out, but he sends you people, professionals, to give you help. So now it's my time to get us up out of here. So here's what I got to say to y'all. Look, family, I am thankful for my two sisters more than they even know, Alethea and Jax. I pray that I know that Chris was dealing with a situation where he is a mental health professional. He was dealing with a crisis call. He was helping someone who was dealing with mental health issues. If you did not know, because everything doesn't hit the news, what happened at Florida State was what hit the news because tragically, at this present moment, we know that 2 folks lost their life. There was an active shooter on campus, but there are campuses all over. They just had a shooting in Dallas in a high school where a year earlier they had a shooting. Man, there is stuff going on all over the place. There are people dealing with so many places. All I can do is say, do your part, play your position, do your part, and be a good human being, the best you can be. Always remember that there is no secret, absolutely no secret what God can do. What he has done for others, he willingly can do for you. For when God is with you, I promise you, nothing or no one can stand against you. So y'all keep it locked in. You never know where we're going to be or what we're going to be doing. We're always trying to connect the dots. We're always trying to give you our version of our truth. We're not here to tell you what to think, how to think, but family, it's time that we begin to think. On behalf of myself, let me bring us all up. Sister Alethea and Sister Jax, we love y'all. We up out of here. Y'all be blessed. Y'all have a good one. We'll catch y'all the next time. We'll let you know that part. Y'all be good. We out. Peace.